Hello, my name is Lauren Jones, and I am a behavior resource teacher.
And hi there, I'm Christy Barnes, and I'm also a behavior resource teacher.
And today we are here to talk to you about replacement behaviors. So I'm going to share my screen with you so that we can begin. Replacement behaviors. Try this instead.
So our goals for today are that we're going to be able to define replacement behaviors, determine common reasons why a behavior may occur, and to identify when and how to use those replacement behaviors or skills.
So before we talk about replacement behaviors, we have to talk about why our children do problem behaviors. Our children engage in problem behaviors because they work. Take the example here. The child says to another, if you're given a task you don't want to do, just start crying. They'll send you straight to the thinking chair. It's like a vacation from work. This child has learned when he engages in crying behavior that he escapes whatever task has been given to him. That means he doesn't have to do it anymore. So all of the behaviors that our children engage in are learned because they have worked for them in the past. So what we want to talk about today is how can we replace those negative behaviors with some more positive ones?
That is such a great example, Lauren. So what is a replacement behavior? A replacement skill is a positive behavior that meets the same need as that problem behavior. The skill is taught to replace the problem behavior. We need to teach the child what to do in order to get the same response. And the replacement behavior serves the same purpose as the problem behavior. And you're going to learn how to do that today.
So why is it important? Why do we need a replacement behavior? Well, when we're trying to decrease a problem behavior, another behavior is going to take its place. And if the child finds a replacement behavior on their own to meet the need, oftentimes it could be replaced with another unacceptable behavior. So instead of replacing one problem behavior with another problem behavior, we want to give our children a positive replacement. If we give them that positive alternative, then they're still getting their need met, but they're doing it in a more appropriate way.
The first thing we want to do is we want to focus on strengths. What can your child already do? So number one, you want to identify your child's skills. For example, how do they communicate? Do they use words? Do they sign? Do they use gestures? Everybody has different communication skills. And then how they understand what is communicated to them. We know that some of our children, they understand exactly what you're saying, but then it's hard for them to express themselves. And then how can you help them use those skills to meet their needs?
Does your child need to learn a new skill? Once you know those strengths, you need to think about what skills they might need. The problem behaviors they're engaging in could be due to a skill they're lacking. Do they understand exactly what you're asking them to do? Another thing to consider is how does your child communicate with others? This problem behavior may be their way of communicating their wants and needs. So we need to look at the behavior and see what is my child trying to communicate, or what are they trying to get out of using this behavior.
Let's talk about now, what does the behavior do for your child? There is a reason why all of our children behave. We call this the function of your child's behavior. An easy acronym is to remember is SEAT, S-E-A-T. And we have some great pictures to kind of discuss that. The first thing we're going to talk about is sensory. Our children do things because it feels good, okay? When we talk about escape, they're leaving the situation because they just need to get away. So it's easy just to leave or to do a problem behavior that gets them out of it. And then we have attention. Our children do a lot of things for attention. And remember, even if they're exhibiting negative behavior and you're kind of giving them attention, you're just reinforcing that behavior. And then there's tangible. They want stuff, whether it's a toy, it's an iPad, it's a game. So they want their stuff, and that's the T for tangible.
Knowing those functions of the behavior are so important, Christy. When we're thinking about replacement behaviors, they should be something that the child is capable of doing. We can't replace a behavior that's working for our child with something that's really hard for them to do or they're not able to do. It needs to be a skill that can be taught easily. It's also important that the new skill is noticed and reinforced when your child uses it. If you're encouraging them and reinforcing them when they're using it, they're more likely to use it in the future. Also, the new behavior should work just as quickly as the problem behavior does. If it's easier and quicker, they might be more likely to use it than using the problem behavior that's worked for them in the past.
Lauren, that is such a good point. It is very important to reinforce the replacement skill. You know, as parents, we are so used to just dealing with the problem behavior, and when they're doing the right thing, we don't notice it. So we really want to take the time to identify people, activities, or objects that are most reinforcing. You guys know your child best. And then if the replacement skill is not reinforced, your child may go back to the problem behavior. I wish we all had like a magic wand that we can just, say poof and it's all done, but we don't. But this skill is really important, especially when you reinforce that positive behavior.
Absolutely. So here are some examples just to get you brainstorming about different replacement behaviors that you can start to teach your child. Remember, we want to think about function. What purpose is their behavior serving them? So let's look at sensory first. Our child is engaging in pinching their arm. So they're doing it because it feels good. Maybe they like that pressure. Instead, we can teach them to say or gesture hug to you as the parent. They'd still get that pressure and input, but maybe they're not hurting themselves or leaving marks on their arm. For attention, your kid wants your attention. You're on the phone and they're yelling, "Mom, Mom, Mom," over and over again. Instead, we can teach them, if you want my attention, you can say, "Excuse me," or you can tap me lightly on the arm and wait until I acknowledge you. For escape, a child's frustrated and doesn't want to be a part of the game anymore. They throw the board game and throw the pieces to the floor. Instead, we can teach them to say or sign break and move away from the game. For tangible, something that they want access to, the child grabs their iPad from their sibling's hand. Instead, we can teach them to say, "I want iPad," or point or gesture towards the iPad.
Those are great examples, Lauren. So when we are choosing skills, the skills for your child to use, it needs to be faster, which means it needs to meet the need quicker. You don't want a lot of wait time. And it needs to be easier, less steps or effort required. It's easy for the child to just tap you if he wants your attention and say, "Excuse me." And then more reliable. So you want to make sure that they're reinforced more frequently and consistently. You really want to make sure that you're watching your child, that they do the right thing and not look away so that you can reinforce that.
Start with shaping when you're working on these replacement behaviors. Shaping means that we're reinforcing small steps towards the new behavior. So let's go back to that example when you're on the phone and your child's saying, "Mom, Mom," over and over again. When we're first teaching that replacement skill, we might start with just the tapping. Respond positively to your child when he or she taps you. That's the first step. Then, as we continue to shape the behavior and work on those steps closer and closer to what we're looking for, we can teach them to say, "Excuse me." But we have to start somewhere small. So if you start with the little steps and build it up, eventually you will see that behavior that you're looking for.
What happens if your child exhibits the same problem behavior? And listen, this might happen and that's okay, but the consistency is important. So you want to prompt or redirect right back to the replacement skill that you taught them. Now, when you guys are teaching the skill to your children, it should be practiced, okay? When you want to practice it when your child is calm or stable, that they're listening to you, they want to be with you, because once they get agitated, it's really hard to teach. And you want to use different prompts when the child is stable. You can use verbal prompts, gestural prompts, visual prompts. It doesn't matter as long as they understand what you're teaching them.
So some important things to remember when we are starting to teach those replacement skills. Change will not happen overnight. Like Christy said, sometimes we're going to see those problem behaviors, and that's okay. Just make sure that you're reminding them of the replacement behavior that you're trying to teach them. Practice makes perfect, right? Be consistent and persistent. Every time they engage in that behavior, you want to redirect the same way and redirect back to that same behavior. Like we talked about with shaping, if you're encouraging it and consistently redirecting, you'll see closer and closer steps to that new behavior what you're looking for. And last, and certainly not least, be patient and positive. You need to remind yourself that the behavior can and will change. If you're positive and consistent, you will see some great changes.
So if you need some help and you want more assistance with behavior, first reach out to your child's teacher and say that you need help with behavior, and then they will reach out to district staff, which is like Lauren and myself on the behavior group, and district staff and or your child's teacher will connect with you to set a time so we can meet with you on a virtual platform or via phone so we can help you out. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.